Tom Brady, the greatest of all time. Belichick, ain't no mastermind. Tom Brady couldn't win with Tampa Bay. Belichick, pissed all the drafts away.
No problem.
I want to say welcome to Tommy Knows Best Sports Podcast. I have a special guest, and my guest is Tony Massarotti from 98.5 The Sports Hub, the co-host of Felger Mazz. Mazz, we're going to start out with some football because there's been a lot going on. I've been listening all day today and all week, and I called in yesterday, and the talk is about Bill Belichick and the Patriots and the future of Bill Belichick. Mazz, I want to know some answers about him. What?
I said, yeah, don't we all, Tommy?
What's going on with him right now? Why is he still here?
Well, so look, I to me, that's a good question, Tommy. I wish I had the answer for you. It certainly feels like Bill Belichick, or rather Robert Kraft, is, being careful here and wants to make sure that the language on a, what's the word I'm looking for? Dismissal of Belichick.
Yep.
Is, it feels like there's some sort of negotiating going on, Tommy, but our feeling as a show is still that, that Bill's gone and it's just a matter of time, and we'll see how it all shakes out from here. But the coaching market has gotten very interesting.
I know it's getting very interesting, and it's very, very awkward and very interesting. And there's been some coaches that got fired. And today was some breaking news today. And one of the breaking news today was Nick Saban retiring from Alabama. Mazz, what do you think about that today?
So, Tommy, I think we were all surprised to see this when it happened with Saban. So, no, I don't think anyone was expecting it. And the first question, look, and the timing of it too, right? And I know the college national championship game was also a couple of nights ago. So I'm sure Saban didn't want to upstage anything that went along with the national championship and take the credit away from Michigan or the spotlight that was on Washington. So, but the fact that it, this gets announced in the middle of NFL week is also, it's also big news, right? The first thing you ask is, is Saban looking to go to the NFL?
Yes.
And
what do you think he would go to?
Well, so I wonder about a place like Carolina, where the owner there would throw, a pile of money at him and basically say to him, hey, look, we need some sort of big name here to build this thing around. We want you to come in and coach it. So I wouldn't rule that out. I mean, a place like that, again, there was nothing that indicated he wasn't going to still coach. It just said retired from Alabama. And, so I do wonder about him in the NFL.
You think he would go to a team like the Patriots, like us?
I don't think so, Tommy. And the reason I say I don't think it affects the Patriots is, they have a guy who's 71 years old, who's a defensive mastermind and has been around a long time, and they need something younger, longer term to build around.
Like Mike Vrabel. Let's bring in Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, I like Vrabel too, Tommy. That's the way I would go. I think he's the right fit. And, I got into a discussion about it, a disagreement with Felger and Paul Perillo.
Oh, yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, on our show today. And I just think that when you look at it with Vrabel, I understand those guys want an offensive coach, but the Patriots got a lot of work to do. I think one of the mistakes everybody's making here, Tommy, in my opinion, is that, well, who's going to be the next guy after Bill? And is that going to be the guy to take us to a Super Bowl? And I don't think that you can look at it that way. I think that Belichick was here 24 years. The next guy's not going to be here 24 years.
I know.
So I think you just look at someone who can get you back to a certain level, start with that. And then when you're ready to go to contend for a Super Bowl. Maybe it's Vrabel, maybe it's not. There's no way to know that. So I just think that Vrabel's a good start.
Vrabel is a good start. Who would you bring in for his people and his staff, coaching staff? Would you bring in Arthur Smith that just got fired from the Falcons because they were a trio in Tennessee last year?
Yeah, I would lean in that direction. Like the idea of keeping Bill O'Brien, I don't love. The idea of, on the defensive side, if they want to keep Mayo, I'm totally fine with that. Like I get it. And Vrabel's a defensive guy. And, I don't know if Mayo would want to stay if he felt passed over for the head coaching job and wouldn't want to stay. But in terms of, I think the big question with Vrabel is who runs the offense. I think you got it right. And to me, Arthur Smith would be an interesting choice. He did well at Tennessee. It was, he was Matt LaFleur's successor.
He was.
Yeah. So look at that. Feels like a step into the modern era of the NFL.
You want to bring in a guy like a Kyle Shanahan offense or a Sean McVay type of offense. You want to bring in a guy like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I would like Vrabel to turn that over to, turn the offense over to whoever he has there. So, but again, even if you draft a quarterback, he might not play. He might not.
Question about that with our draft order.
Sure.
Right. What would you draft Marvin Harrison Jr. with your third pick, Mazz?
So I wouldn't, Tommy.
You wouldn't?
And I would not. However, let me give you a however. If you're going to get a guy like Justin Fields, let's say if you could trade for Justin Fields in the second round and draft Harrison in the first,
yeah,
fine, I'm in. Okay, that I would do.
That. All right.
But if you're unsure about what you're going to do at quarterback, I don't see what good Marvin Harrison does you. So, I would rather draft a lineman and take a tackle. And I know it's boring.
You'd rather take a lineman and a tackle, huh?
Yeah, Tommy, I think their offensive line sucks.
I know our offensive line does suck. Trent Brown's horrible. They're all horrible. They can't even stay on the field. That was the main problem on the offense this year. The offensive line and the quarterback. And Mac Jones isn't the guy, and Zappe isn't the guy. They both suck and blow. And Mazz, who would you draft at quarterback in the second round if you wanted to pick a quarterback in the second round? Who would you take?
Well, so I'll tell you what I would do, Tommy. I would, let's say Fields is out. Okay. So you're not going to get Fields. So you got the third pick and the first two guys gone are quarterbacks because Chicago has traded number one.
Yep.
To someone who takes Caleb Williams.
Yep.
And then, with the second pick, another quarterback goes and that's Drake May. Mm-hmm. So now you've got to decide Jaden Daniels, Marvin Harrison, or one of the tackles. Okay. And there were some good tackles in this draft.
They are some good tackles.
Yeah. So, I would even consider trading down out of number 3.
Oh, you want to trade down at number 3, huh?
Well, if I would think about it, if you can, let's say you drop 3 spots, and you can get someone else's pick at number 18. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm making this up. Okay.
All right.
And then when you get to 18, Michael Penix is still there.
Michael Penix. I was watching the championship game and he didn't impress me on Monday night. He did not impress me. That offense did not do good, and I'm worried about him here. I'm worried about him. What do you think, Mazz? Are you worried about him if he came here? You think the kid will be ruined?
Well, so his stock definitely dropped, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now if he had the same kind of game that he had against Texas, and he repeated that and they won the national championship, and you looked at it and went, wow, this kid he just put the team on his back.
Yep.
Then I think you start entertaining the idea of taking him in the top 5. Okay. So then you look at it and say, this kid's the real deal. We're going to take him a number, high up in the draft because he's the kind of guy that you can build an offense around. I think what we saw in the game, Tommy, to me, is that like most quarterbacks, he needs to be protected.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't have protection, he's going to struggle. And he's not the kind of runner that Jaden Daniels is, who can create it on his own.
That's why I want it.
Okay, yeah, look, and again, if you're big on Jaden Daniels, then I would say Yeah, I would say stay at number 3 and take Daniels. So you like Daniels?
Yes, I do like Daniels. I do. I do like him. He will be good here. He fits the offense, I think. And what do you think about JJ McCaffrey, the other quarterback from Michigan that won? What do you think about him?
So I don't love him.
You think he's like a poor Mac Jones, a poor version of Mac Jones?
I'm not, he might be a little more athletic than Mac Jones, but I think Mac Jones might be a better passer.
Yeah.
McCarthy, to me, a lot of people are talking about him late in the first round. I don't see it. He looks pretty ordinary to me. You want to take a guy like that in the 3rd or 4th round, fine. But you want to take him in the 1st or even high in the 2nd. My answer is no. I don't think he's that kind of player.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why I say, the Patriots couldn't do anything on offense this year, right?
I know they couldn't even they couldn't do nothing. Parker, he sucked, and Juju sucked. And why did we even sign him? We should have just signed Jacoby Myers for that amount of money and re-signed them back. What the hell did we do signing Juju? He couldn't stay healthy and he had knee problems. That was a waste of an offense this year. Belichick should be ashamed of himself what he did with this offense, Maz. He should be ashamed of himself. He's a disgrace.
So, Tommy, I'm with you. I didn't like Juju either. But, without an offensive line, they couldn't even run the ball. Yes. So, in a lot of ways, you could argue the offensive line is the most important thing to fix. Mm-hmm. Which is why I say I would think about it.
Scott Nekier ain't walking through that door right there at Gillette Stadium coaching that offensive line either anymore. He ain't walking through that door.
You get that right.
Yep. And this team needs a lot of help. Why is Belichick still the coach? It's time for him to go, right?
Yeah, so I think so, Tommy. I think they're at that stage where it's time to turn the page.
And
right?
I think Kraft is acting like a pussy about that. What do you think?
So I think you're right. I think this, to me, just look at how the rest of the league is operated. And I know that, not every
a mediocre team.
Right.
A mediocre team now at best.
So, with Belichick, not everybody has a guy who's been around for 25 years and won 6 Super Bowls. All right. Mm-hmm. So I get that, Tommy.
We got to respect him for that, for what he did. He won 6 Super Bowls too, just like Tom Brady. Him and Tom Brady were a duo, but everyone knows it was Tom, though. But Belichick did have a good defense mind. He does have a good defensive mind. We got to give him credit with that, right, Mazz?
Oh, listen, Tommy, he was a terrific coach. I mean, when he was here. So I don't want to talk about him like he died. The guy's still going to coach. So he's mm-hmm. still a good coach. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that he's as good as he used to be. But, they're headed. I just don't think that they're really all that hip with the modern game. They need something younger. They need a more dynamic offense. They need talent on offense. It's starting with the offensive line. So, if Belichick had just rebuilt the offensive line over the winter, if he had gone out and gotten a legit tackle, put Trent Brown at right tackle, and, had some sort of backup plan for Cole Strange. I mean, those were all things that were basically questions at the end of last season. If he had taken care of those things, they'd have been a lot better than they were, and he'd probably still have a job.
Yes, he would still probably have a job here. He wouldn't be in the hot seat right now. And
correct.
It's Wednesday, and why is he still here? And when is this big meeting going to happen? This part 2. When is part 2 going to happen between him and Kraft?
So I'm willing to bet that part 2 already happened. We just don't know about it.
Well,
and
hopefully it breaks.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so, Tommy. I'm starting to worry that we're not going to hear anything until Friday night. So the thing that we're hearing and that we talked about today mm-hmm. was that Kraft is worried about the public relations mess that it would be for if he fired Bill Belichick. And it doesn't sound like Belichick has any interest in working out some sort of deal with the team when I say deal, the wording of the release, mutually agreed to part ways. Mm-hmm. Bill doesn't want to do that. And I don't blame him. So
yes, that's absolutely right. You're right, Baz, about that. And I don't think he wants to go here. He still wants to coach here. And why does he like to draft kickers and punters and that are rookies? And look what they did. They did not do good this year. The kicker or the punter, neither. Our special teams was bad too.
their special teams have been bad for a few years now, Tommy. And I agree. I mean, it got worse this year because they couldn't even kick extra points and field goals. I mean, they were the worst.
It's time for Belichick to get his money and kick rocks out of here.
I like that. Go kick rocks.
Yes, and Maz, I have another question about the Super Bowl.
Sure.
Do you believe in the Super Bowl logo conspiracy? The one where they say the colors of the logo are the teams that will play in the Super Bowl. This year it looks like San Fran and Baltimore. What do you think?
So I haven't looked to the Super Bowl logo. Is it those teams' colors?
Yes, it is.
I did not know that. All right. You'll have
Yes.
to you'll have to email that to me, Tommy.
I will that mail to you. And who's your Super Bowl team? Who's your favorite coming out of the AFC or the NFC?
Well, I mean, like everybody, I like the teams that get the bye in the home field. So yeah,
San Fran and Baltimore.
I do.
And
Now look, I'll just say quickly, Tommy, like there were teams that I would keep an eye on, right? So one thing about San Francisco, I think if you talk about the ceiling of every team, when everybody's healthy and they're playing their best, I think San Francisco's got the highest ceiling. Okay.
Yes, San Francisco has the highest ceiling. Brock Purdy's playing unbelievable. Mr. Irrelevant last year. He was the last pick of the draft. And that team is stacked. Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk. That team is stacked. Good defense too. That's a type of coach we need, a Kyle Shanahan system coach. And I thought the Patriots are going to go into that direction. And just for that, I want to see San Fran to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So look, it's hard to not like San Fran when they've played well this year. They've been virtually unbeatable. But, let's not forget, Baltimore went in there and kicked their ass.
I know they kicked their ass on Christmas night. They gave them a message, and they've been giving all the teams a message. They even beat up on Miami, put up like 50 points on Miami. Baltimore's sending a statement to the NFL, and Lamar Jackson is proving himself something. But we all know in the playoffs, he could choke. He could choke in the playoffs. So I want to see what he's made of this year.
I agree. And I think it's a big year for Baltimore because they look like, there's no way that Baltimore should be short of the AFC Championship game, right? And let's not forget, if they get there, they're going to host it. Yes. So if Baltimore, I could see them losing. The only team I could really see beating Baltimore in the AFC, I think, is Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Yeah, wow. People are talking up Cleveland quite a bit because Flacco got in there and played well, and the Cleveland defense is very, very good. But if Flacco goes against the Baltimore defense, for that matter, if he goes against Buffalo, I just don't see him beating either one of those teams. I mean, it's a good story. I like the story and all that, but I just don't think they're quite good enough to get to the Super Bowl. There's just not enough explosiveness on offense for me to pick the Browns. So I could see Buffalo surprising people coming out of the AFC, but it's either them or Baltimore. Kansas City obviously is short at receiver.
They are short at receiver. All that they rely on is Rashid Rice and Travis Kelce and Isaiah Pacheco. And that defense is still kind of sneaky good. That they are a good defense. And I want to do my Super Wild Card NFL picks with you, Maz. I want to go back and forth with you and see who do you like. We're gonna play a game. You know how you do your tiers tomorrow?
Of course, yeah.
We're gonna do like an NFL playoff version of those tiers on my podcast, and we're both gonna pick the team that we like, and we're gonna start out with the Houston. No, with the Cleveland Browns at the Houston Texans. Maz, who do you like?
Okay, so are you going to pick the games too? How does this work?
Yes, I'm going to pick the games too. You pick
But
your
you want
team
me,
up.
but you want me to go first.
Yep.
Okay. So Cleveland at Houston. I like Cleveland.
Me too. I like Cleveland like you, Maz. Joe
Okay.
Flacco is playing unbelievable since he got signed with that team. He got off his couch like a few weeks back, and he's playing like vintage Joe Flacco, like he was with the Ravens. And that team is sneaky good. Their defense is sneaky good. Miles Garrett, and that offense is good when Joe Flacco's throwing the ball. I feel worried for CJ Stroud in that offense.
Yeah, that Cleveland defense might be the best defense in the league. They're really good. And they've had moments where things have gone kind of sideways for them, but it's a good defense. And I think that's something you see with a lot of teams. I just don't think Houston's quite ready. It's a good story. I like Stroud, but Cleveland feels like the better, more experienced team to me.
All right, next game that night, and it's on Peacock, and you got to stream it, and I'm very pissed off at it. And the bar that I go to, Tony's Pub and Grill, I tried to stream a game on there like a few weeks back, the Buffalo and Chargers game, and they didn't have it. So I was pissed. And now this game's on Peacock, and you got to stream it. Miami Dolphins at the Kansas City Chiefs. Maz, who do you like in that game?
So I might be surprising you here, Tommy. I like Kansas City.
Me too. I like Kansas City too, even though
Oh,
that
you
offense.
do?
Yes, even though that offense has been struggling, and that for some reason they've been struggling because, like you said, Mahomes does not have the weapons that he's used to having a Tyreek Hill. But I think they'll win that game, but it's going to be a close one.
Yeah, so I agree. I think it's going to be a low-scoring defensive game against. The last time I checked, it's supposed to be like 0 degrees in Kansas City that night. So I think that really hurts Miami. That loss to Buffalo, Miami went from being the number 2 seed, playing at home in 75-degree weather, to now being the number 5 seed or the number 6 seed, and 6 seed going to Kansas City and playing in 0-degree weather. So. In Miami, to me, defensively, they're more physical than people realize, but offensively, I think you can beat them up. And I think Steve Spagnuolo is a bad matchup for him. Kansas City in cold weather. A lot of people are sort of thumbing their noses at the Chiefs. I like Kansas City in that game.
I do too. And Travis Kelce needs to wake up and stop worrying about his girlfriend, Taylor Swift. And Maz, would you ever fight Taylor Swift?
Would I ever fight her?
Yeah. If she came up to you, wrestle you?
If you fight Taylor Swift, I think you get Kelce with her. I want nothing to do with that.
I know. And Maz, let's talk about the other games. That was a funny joke that I wanted to throw in. I want to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Buffalo Bills now. Who do you like in that game? Like we just said, the Buffalo Bills, I like them.
Yeah, I like Buffalo too, Tommy. That one's one of the easier games to pick, I think. Pittsburgh will play good defense, but I don't think they can score. I don't. And Mason Rudolph he's been pretty good since he got in there. They've been better with him. There's no question, which, makes you wonder why they didn't go to him sooner. But to me, Buffalo did not look great in the Miami game. The Bills tried to beat themselves. But defensively, they played better. They've had some injuries, but they're clearly better than Pittsburgh.
Yes, and Buffalo it is. And then the next game on Sunday, because there's 3 games on Sunday. The next game is the Green Bay Packers at the Dallas Cowboys. You got Michael Felger's Green Bay Packers going against the Dallas Cowboys. Maz, who do you like in that game?
So in that one, I like Dallas. I'm trying to punch up on my phone, Tommy, what the point spreads are in these games, just out of curiosity. So I like Dallas in that game, and that is one of the higher spreads of the week. So Dallas is 7.5. The biggest one's Buffalo over Pittsburgh, which doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But I like Dallas in that game. The Cowboys have been really, really good at home. Okay, really good at home. So again, there were. Like we all know this, if you go back to week 18, there were a couple of pivotal points there where Philadelphia could have won the division if Dallas loses. That didn't happen. So Dallas ended up in a good spot. They get to play at home now. Kansas City ends up at home. Buffalo ends up at home. The home teams usually do well in the playoffs, particularly when you factor in weather in Miami and weather in Kansas City. And so I like Dallas at home. Green Bay, Jordan Love's been really good the last 8 weeks, 18 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Yes, he has.
So some of these teams at the end of the year are playing better than they were for the majority of the year, which is what the whole thing's about.
Yep.
But I just think asking Green Bay to go into Dallas, beat the Cowboys there, where the Cowboys were terrific all year long. That's a tall order. So I like Dallas in that game.
Me too. I like Dallas too. And then the night game for that night is the LA Rams at the Detroit Lions. Maz, who do you like?
Who do you like in that one? I'm asking you first.
I like the Rams. Matthew Stafford playing unbelievable. Puka Nacua playing unbelievable. And the Rams are +3. You got to take the Rams. And I don't trust in the Lions because Dan Campbell, that guy's a squid. And when he makes those faces with his mouth, it's funny. He makes those funny faces like he's angry. He's like an angry guy on steroids.
Yeah, so Tommy, I'll tell you what, the team that I've been maybe most impressed with in the last month and a half of the season is the Rams.
Yeah.
And if you remember, Tommy, when you watch games on Sunday, do you watch individual games or do you watch Red Zone or do you do both?
I do both. I watch every single game. If I'm at a bar or I'm at a friend's house, we'll watch Red Zone or we'll watch any game that's on TV.
Okay. So if you remember, the Rams went into Baltimore and they were, that game was on here that day. And I started watching that game.
Mm-hmm.
The Rams have given Baltimore the toughest game they've had in the last 6 weeks of the season.
I know that was a tough game.
The Rams gave them everything they could handle in that game, everything they could handle. And so I want to say the Rams went 7-1 or something, their last 8 games, or 6-1 in their last 7 games. And their only loss was to Baltimore in overtime.
Yep.
Where, if you remember right, Baltimore returned a punt for a touchdown to win the game 37-31. So the Rams defense in that game, their offensive line looked out of this world. They dominated Baltimore at the line of scrimmage when they had the ball. They ran the ball down Baltimore's throats. And so I think the Rams are a sleeper. I would keep an eye on the Rams. It would not surprise me if the Rams made a run.
The end Super Card Wild Weekend, Monday Night Football game, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Tampa Bay Bucks. Maz, you could ask me first again.
Okay, well, who are you picking, Tommy?
I'm picking Tampa Bay because Baker Mayfield deserves a payday there. And that team is really good. And the Eagles, since Matt Patricia took over on defense, another squid, since he took over on defense, that team has been horrible on defense. I'm taking Tampa Bay with the points. And what is the points?
3 points, I think, Tommy. Tampa Bay's favored. Philadelphia's favored at Tampa by 3.
Oh, I'm taking Tampa Bay with the points. Let's go Tampa. And Maz, who do you like?
Believe it or not, Tommy, I like Philly.
You do like Philly?
I do. I think everybody is off of Philly now because they played poorly at the end of the year. And, I want to do a little more research on Tampa Bay, but let's not forget the Bucs aren't good. They play in one of the worst divisions in football.
The AFC South.
Yeah. And I know they're home, but Tommy, they played at Carolina in the final week of the season with the division at stake, and they won the game 9-0.
Yes, they did.
Okay. So, I'm just not sold on, I know Philly's playing poorly, but Philly's still got a lot of talent.
Yes.
If they can get their heads screwed on, I can see them winning. I can see them winning a wild card weekend. After that, though, I think they're going to have trouble.
Yes. And now can I jump on other little topics for a few minutes with you?
Of course, sure.
Let's talk about the Red Sox because you're a big Red Sox guy. And I want to talk about the new guy that's in charge now, Craig Breslow. He's just like High and Bloom. He's too scared to spend some money. And why is that?
So, Tommy, I look at it a little differently this year, and I'll tell you why.
Why do you look at it a little differently?
You might be right about Breslow. You might be right about Breslow. But I think that they have tried to make some moves and they haven't been able to make them. So when I say that, I mean, I think they've offered some guys some money. I think they've they've called teams about trades, but I don't think they want to necessarily give up anything in terms of money or talent. That's so. I predicted this, not to pat myself on the back, Tommy, but I said the Red Sox are going to go out and try to get some players this offseason. But the problem is that everybody's got some money to spend. The Dodgers are going to be active. The Yankees are going to be active. Other teams, the Giants were going to be active, and the Red Sox could get beat to the punch on a lot of these. And it's exactly what has happened. So, look, I think you should be really down on the Red Sox. They've done nothing to win back your confidence. And until they do, I don't think that you should just give it back to them.
I know we have a few minutes left, Maz, but I kind of want to touch on the Bruins with you now, too, real quick.
Sure.
All right. What do you think about the Bruins this year? What do you think about them so far? And what do you think how they've been playing? Because they've been losing games in overtime.
So, Tommy, look, I don't think they're terrible. I mean, they're pretty good. I don't think they're a cup type of winning. I don't think they're a type of team that can win the cup. I was going to say a cup winning team.
Yes.
We'll see what happens if they were to make some sort of big trade or anything like that. They started out like gangbusters. They've kind of flatlined since. And so I was looking this up this morning. Again, we talk about the overtime games.
Yeah.
And I know you get a point for overtime losses, but the Bruins have lost. Yeah, they've lost 8 games now in overtime.
That's crazy. Yes, they lost 8 games.
Yeah, overtime or shootout. So they're 28-8. I'm sorry. They're 24-8-8, right? Well, if you add the losses, that's 24-16, right?
Yes.
So, and I know it's different in the 3-on-3 and in the shootout and what have you, but 24-16 is not great. It's not bad. It's okay. I mean, they're on pace for 48 wins, which is going to put them right around 100 points, a little over 100 points. It's a good season. But let's face it, there were teams out there that are just deeper and more talented than they are. And I would not pick them to make noise in the playoffs. I mean, I could see them getting bounced in the first round.
Yes, like last year. Last year, they should have won it all. And Maz, before we end this podcast, I want you to do Naughty Maz for me. I want you to do a Naughty Maz for me, please.
Okay. So the way we used to do Naughty Maz, they used to give me a script to read, but you want me to make it up on my own?
Yeah, make it up on your own. Freestyle it on the top of your head.
Okay. Freestyle off the top of my head. You put me on the spot, Tommy.
Hey.
I would say, watch out for the women who have chest mountains as big as the Matterhorn.
All right. Fuck that. If you could punch one pro athlete in the head, why would it be Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, because he deserves it, Tommy.
Yes, Aaron Rodgers deserves a punch in the head. And that Maz, and I got another question.
Sure.
What's your favorite Italian dish?
Oh God. So you know what I really like, Tommy? My mother used to make homemade gnocchi. Have you ever had gnocchi?
No, what is that?
Okay, so gnocchi are they're potato. They call them gnocchi, but they describe them as a potato dumpling. It's a kind of pasta that's made from potato, and it's solid. It's solid. It's not hollow.
Does that sound fun for you? The potato meatballs. That's what they are, right?
No, they're more like the shape of a ziti or a rigatoni, except there's no hole. It's solid. So it almost looks like half of a French fry. It's about it's like if you took my finger here and you cut it in half, right?
Yes.
It's about, you think of it as, let me do it this way. Okay. You do it as half of my finger. It's like a little, and they're called gnocchi, Gnocchi. And they're made out of potato. My mother used to make them homemade. You can get them in restaurants now. Lots of places have them usually with tomato sauce and grated cheese, maybe a meat sauce, or you can also get them with sometimes they do them with capers and you can even get them with pesto, but the best ones are with tomato sauce and some grated cheese. Out of this world.
Yes. My favorite Italian food is chicken broccoli and ziti, or ziti with chicken parm.
So I was going to guess chicken parm was right up your alley, Tommy. That's a good one.
Yes. Do you like my songs that I do and send them to you guys?
Tommy, your songs are the best. Like, seriously, I laugh hysterically whenever you send us some music. I think it's great.
If you have nothing to do tonight, this is like throwing it out there for you. Come to Patty Kelly's in Peabody tonight, and I'll sing to you in person. It's karaoke night there on every Wednesday and Monday night.
So, like Romeo and Juliet, you're going to sing for me up, like I can stand up in a balcony or something?
Yep.
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet. All
So
right.
yeah, it won't be tonight, Tommy, but we'll see. Sometime I'll try to make that work.
Yes. All right, Maz. I'm going to end this podcast. I want you to do Squeaky Maz and say thank you for having me on the podcast for me.
Thank you for having me on the podcast.
No problem, Maz. You're the man. I love you. Thanks for coming on again. And I want to say thanks for me having you on. We'll do it again in the near future. I'll share it to you.
That'd be great, Tommy. Anytime. All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. And say bye to Everett for me.
Yeah, I will. All right.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
All right, Everett. We'll see you later, pal. All right. You guys be well.
All right, you too.
Enjoy
Bye.
enjoy the Celtics. All right. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Go Celtics.
All right. See you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye. I know. No, I did some good answers.
What? I should.
All right, it's over, right?
Yeah.
Now what?